What's up everybody? Welcome to my channel. My name is Jasmine. If you're new here, this channel focuses on fashion, faith, lifestyle, and a little bit of luxury. And today we're going to talk a little bit about being an ally. So there's a lot going on in America right now. There's a lot going on in America, and I've gotten a question that I've never gotten in my entire life so much in 2020 that I thought that it may be a really good idea for me to create a video about it. And that question is, how can I be an ally to the Black and brown communities? And I thought that was pretty interesting because I've been alive 30 years. 30 years, and I've never heard that question. I've never had someone ask me, how can I support you culturally? How can I support your faith? How can I support you as an individual? How can I support your rights and your comforts and your safety? And I think it's a really amazing question to ask, and I think it's a very important question to ask. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how to be an ally to the Black and brown communities, and I'm also going to share with you guys some Black-owned businesses that I think you should know. All right, guys, so when I think about an ally, the simplest thing that you can do is just being there. I think an ally in general is just someone that's there for support. They're there for encouragement. They're there to fill spaces that the person that they're being an ally for cannot fill. And all of that comes down to support. All of that comes down to genuine care and concern for that person. So step one in being an ally is being a listener. I think so many people kind of have their own ideals about what other people need from their own point of views. But I think the best thing that you can do when you're trying to be an ally really to anyone is to listen, to understand their point of view, for someone to be able to open their heart and to share what's really happening and the support that they really need is an extreme blessing. And so I think the first thing that you should do as an ally is listen. It's so tempting to just act, right? You're like, oh my God, this is happening. Let me go do this based on what I think the person needs. But I think the best way to help any person that you're being allied to is to listen first, to listen with your ears, but also listen with your heart. Have that empathy to say, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to take my time to really try to understand what it is that you want. Not what it is that I think you need or what it is that I think you want, but to actually hear and to listen so that whenever I'm acting on behalf of what you desire for your future, what you desire for your community. Which leads me to my next point, and that is action. There are so many ways that you can get involved right now, not only in the African American community, but in supporting Yemen, in supporting women in different countries who don't have rights, in supporting the Hispanic and Latino communities. There are so many different communities and areas that are in need, you guys. So you should never not be busy. Unfortunately, in the climate that we live in, we have television, we have Twitter and Instagram, and we're able to see a lot more outside of just our small communities, and we realize that not only is our country in trouble, but the world in general is in trouble, and people are suffering and people are hurting. And so your action is so important. So whether you're marching for Black Lives Matter, or you're marching for human rights, or you're marching for women's rights, or you're marching for the people in Yemen, or you're marching for the people in Turkey, or you're marching against child trafficking, all of it is important, and your actions are important. There are spaces that the people who need support will never be able to be involved in, but you can be involved in those spaces with your families, educating your children, educating your friends and the people around you about what these things really mean, how you can support those areas, how you can get more people involved. It's going to be one of the most important things that you should do. So during this time, you guys, this is not the time to freeze. This is not the time to pause and reflect. This is the time for action. Find something that you're super passionate about. Find something that you feel like you can be on it for the long haul, not just while the cameras are rolling, not just for a couple of years, but for the long haul until you see a change in that area and get to work. We need your action. The next thing that I think is so important about being an ally is education. I think it's very important for you to be educated on what it is that you're talking about and what it is that you're advocating for. I can't tell you how much misinformation has been floating out there. Unfortunately, for years years and years and years, there have been people crying about different things happening in this country, crying about things happening in other countries, begging for help and support, and they've kind of gotten their original message lost or spoken over because someone else with a more powerful voice or another group of people have taken what they've said and they've twisted it. A perfect example of this is Colin Kaepernick, who specifically said what he was kneeling for. He said who told him to kneel and why he wanted to bring awareness to the topic, and yet the news, the media, certain people in charge, they all took what he said and they completely twisted it. So much so that he lost his job, he lost a lot of his opportunities because people weren't listening. They were taking what they thought and they were running with that instead of educating themselves on what Colin Kaepernick was saying. And to be completely honest, I really do feel that as time has gone on, there were a lot of people who spoke up outside of Colin Kaepernick who were trying to bring awareness to some of the injustices happening in the African American community, but no one would listen, and now we're here. And I can't help but think that if people would have had empathy and if they would have educated themselves, can't help but think that maybe we wouldn't be in the position that we are in now. So before you act and before you decide to jump out there, make sure that you're educated on what's actually being said so that you're not portraying the wrong information. We need soldiers on the field. We need people to advocate for everything. There's food insecurity happening. There's an attack on education right now. So we need people to educate and support everything, but we want to be sure that you're sharing the right message. So before you get out there, before you open your mouth, before you get in that argument on Facebook, make sure that you're educated on the topic that you're advocating for. And last but not least, one of the greatest ways that you can be an ally or an advocate for a community is with your dollars. There are a lot of really great businesses and charities who are advocating for these causes already. Your money could really help those businesses go even further. Not only can you donate to charity, but you can also donate to the actual communities. One of my favorite ways right now in supporting and being an ally is supporting other communities as they invest in themselves. So supporting their businesses, supporting e-commerce. Money really is the ultimate way to support a lot of these communities because they need money in order to grow and in order to build. I really love the scripture in the Bible. It's Matthew 6:21 that says, where a man's treasure is, his heart will be also. And that speaks volumes to me, not only because I'm a Christian and I'm looking for ways to biblically support and encourage and inspire this world, but in general, I think that's pretty spot on in that you can tell what someone is passionate about, what they love, because that's where they put their treasure. And to me, I think a lot of us, our treasure is in our money, it's in our finances, it's in how we support and grow our families. So if you really want to support any of these communities, I think your money would be a really great way to help support. I think it's really important to show how much you care through your finances, because if you can't be there, then there's an old church saying, you guys, I'm about to like show my age, but there's this old church saying from when I was little, you guys. It's a country saying that says, if you can't go, then send go, which is a pretty hilarious, like very, very country term. But what it means is if you can't go, then send your support monetarily, send your support through food, send your support through someone else, helping someone else get the opportunity to go. And for me, one of the ways that I really love to support is supporting businesses. There are so many Black and brown businesses that have come during the quarantine that have been here before, and people that are really trying to fight through this coronavirus. And what better way to support them and to show that you're invested in their community than investing in their businesses. So with that being said, today's video is all about Black-owned businesses that you should know. So if you guys are interested in supporting some really, really awesome Black-owned businesses, then stay tuned for the second part of this video where I'm going to chat about businesses that I think you should be investing your money in.